up your busy, beautiful Sunday for the mildly important cause of electing Democrats this November. And for being a part of this utterly pivotal election cycle that is in our hands. And with that, there is not a better person on this planet to share with us not only the stakes of the election that is going to be happening in the coming weeks, but also the role that we can and must play to make sure it turns out the way the world needs it to turn out. Would you all give the warm welcome that she deserves to our godmother, Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky.
I was in Racine, Wisconsin, knocking on doors. On OperationSwingState.com, where we are getting so many people. Toni Preckwinkle is here. She's certainly working on this as well. The Chicago area going to knock on doors. Why knock on doors? Because it is the best way to win elections. It's not rocket science, it's knocking on doors. I'm telling you, because if we get our people out to vote, and the best way to do it is to be on their doorstep, talking to them about it. So let me tell you just one of the experiences I had at the door. So I'm knocking at the door, looking for a woman. I have her name. You know, they give you the best briefing. If you go there, you will have a fabulous briefing exactly on who to talk to, what to say if you don't know. I have a script. It's fantastic. So anyway, so he was there, but the wife that was on my list wasn't there. So I said, well, let me talk to you for a minute. I'm here knocking on doors. I'm the congresswoman from Illinois, and I'm here because it's so important what happens here in Wisconsin. It is a swing state. If we win Wisconsin, we're also going to Michigan as well, but when we win Wisconsin, we are likely to win the election. And so you are so important. You're one of the most important people in the United States right now. So I'm hoping that you're going to vote for president for Kamala Harris. So, well, I don't know. This is an African American? I don't know. I said, well, what are you thinking about? And he said, well, you know, I think I'm going to vote for Cornel West. Oh my God. I said, well, let me tell you something. If you vote for Cornel West, you're really voted for Donald Trump, because he's not going to win the election. And so if you waste your votes, that's what's going to happen. Well, he says, you know, I'm thinking about voting for Donald Trump. I said, you've got to be kidding. Do you understand that Donald Trump is a racist? You know, this is not a good idea. So then he says to me, do you know the congresswoman here, Gwen Moore? I said, Gwen Moore? She's like my best friend. Does she know what you're going to do? How about if I get Gwen Moore to give you a call? I was okay. So I got back in the car. I called Gwen Moore. I told her, you got to call this guy. He is mistaken. And I feel very confident that his wife is going to probably have a few words to say. So I felt really good about that, because none of you probably know Gwen Moore. She is a tough cookie. There's no way that she's going to allow that guy to vote anything other than Kamala Harris. So we had a good time. I talked to one woman who was absolutely for Kamala, but she wanted more information about how to vote by mail. She was an older woman. We were able to give her all that information. donation. I'm telling you, it was so satisfying a trip. Do it. Think about it. If we go to Wisconsin, if we go to Michigan, we can change the vote to make sure, or assure the vote to make sure that Kamala wins. So I'm very, very optimistic. I'm going back to Washington tomorrow. I'm so happy to be here. Anyway, go back to Washington, where the Republicans have been not wanting to pass the budget for this upcoming fiscal year, and have been doing all kinds of shenanigans and poison pills attached to the legislation. But what we're probably going to be able to do in the next couple of days is to pass what is called a continuing resolution, a CR, that will, guess what, kick the thing down the road again, and say that we're going to we'll pass the budget, but we're probably not going to do it until the end of the year. But, you know, they can't govern because they tried to pass their own bill, the bill that they had, and they did not have the Democratic votes. I mean, they cannot govern. So I am very optimistic that we're going to win the House of Representatives, that Hakeem Jeffries will be the chair, and he'll be running again, who knows so much how to get things done. So, you know, this is terrific. Anyway, I just want to thank Democratic Party of Evanston. I want to thank our chair and mayor for all the work that he's done, and for all of you that are here today to support DPOE. It's a fabulous organization, and let me just say, it's not about just traveling. It's also, you can sign cards, there's so much work that can be done, and I know that is being organized, because we have to win, and you know what, now Pamela's saying it, but you know I've been saying it for a long time. When we fight, we win! When we fight, we win! Hey, let's do it. Thank you, everybody.
The next speaker is the county board president, who is so beloved in this town, Toni Preckwinkle. But I also just want to quickly say a word about her role as the Cook County Democratic Party chair. We, as the Democratic Party of Evanston, are a little piece of the Cook County Democratic Party organization. And it maybe even has been the case every now and again historically that relationship was a little uneasy depending on the style of leadership at the Cook County Democratic Party. You guys, we are so fortunate to have Toni Preckwinkle and her vision of both inclusive governance and effective Democratic Party organization at the helm of that. It is the most ideal person in that role to effectuate the values that we care about in Evanston and make sure that the Democratic Party of Cook County is what it needs to be, not only for our community and region, but for the whole country. Would you all please join me in welcoming Toni Preckwinkle?
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I'm very grateful to be here, and I want to thank Mayor Biss for that kind introduction and for his good work as a member of the State Central Committee. As he said, we need to have Democrats united and working hard in this election. Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky talked a little bit about her own work in the states here with Operation Swing State. Before I talk about anything else, I want to encourage you to go to operationswingstate.com and volunteer. And if you're not up to knocking doors yourself, you've got kids or grandkids who might be willing to do it, friends and neighbors, please encourage them as well. operationswingstate.com. Or you can call the Cook County Democratic Party, and they'll set you up with folks who are either going to Wisconsin or down where I live, we go to Michigan. So I'm very grateful to the folks who've already done this work and encourage the rest of you to try it out as well. I want to say a few words about the honorees that I know today. First, Juliana Stratton, our Lieutenant Governor, is part of the most progressive leadership team I think the state of Illinois has had in a long time. Eamon Kelly. You know, Eamon Kelly was your committee person for a very long time. But I am deeply indebted to him for beginning the work of examining carefully the records of our judges. Now, the Cook County Democratic Party historically just sort of rubber stamped judges for retention. I understand why that was the case, but it truly wasn't the right thing to do. And Eamon came to me and said, we ought to be looking thoughtfully at the records of the people who are running for retention as judges. And I said, fine, you can do it. That's trouble with bringing an issue to somebody unless you volunteer. And so for many years, Eamon has worked, for many cycles, Eamon has worked with the committee of the Cook County Democratic Party, looking at the records of judges to try to determine who really deserves our support and who doesn't. Now, we've gotten in a number of battles, some we won, some we didn't win. But basically, we sent the message to the judiciary that you're not going to get a pass from us anymore. We're going to be looking at your records. And in the last cycle, I think it's fair to say, that some people who we would not have supported chose to leave the bench. And so we've had the salutary effect, not of having to fight people necessarily, but of people understanding that their records were so problematic that if they chose to run for retention, they would be fighting the Cook County Democratic Party. So I want to thank Eamon for that good work. I really appreciate it. And as I said, he was a volunteer, so I didn't push his arm to do it. And last, I want to talk about Rachel. Rachel has been, I know, a linchpin of this organization for a very long time. She happens to serve as Director of Policy and Deputy Chief of Staff for Cook County government, and that's the capacity in which I know her best. And she's done a really amazing job of focusing us on some of the really critical issues that we need to address in county government, including, most recently, property taxes that help us. And I just want to thank her for that good work and for the work of her team. I know she's being acknowledged today for her work in the Democratic Party of Evanston, but I want to thank her for her government work as well. Thank you, Rachel. And to the rest of you in this room, I want to say what I always say. We can't have a strong Democratic Party without strong ward and township organizations. So I want to thank you for the work you have done, are doing, and will do, especially in this critical cycle in November. Thank you so much.
First and foremost, thank you to the person who will be introducing the winners of the Tisdall Award, our, I think it's fair to say, still brand new board president and my great friend, Kathy Hayes.
Hello, my Democratic family and my Democratic neighbors. Thank you so much for coming out today. This is very important to us, and we want to share all the good news we can with you. And some of that good news is the award that I'm about to present next, and that is the Tisdale Community Service Award recipients who are Mr. and Mrs. Weaver. I want to tell you a little bit about Clarence and Wendy. They are longtime Evanston residents that have shown a strong commitment to community and dedicated to progressive movement throughout all of the communities here in Evanston. They established a business. Small businesses are the cornerstone of all of America. And thank you. She told me pick up the mic. See, that's what family does for you. They established a market, the C&W Ice Cream Parlor and Market at the corner of the historical Church and Dodge. Many of you, if you are old school Evanstonians, know that everything, I see the heads nodding, happens at Church and Dodge. You get all your gossip there, you get all your essentials there, and you get all your loving there. And that's exactly what they've done. This family business has expanded to employ and encourage people to become entrepreneurs or professionals. They have shown great imagery to our students and some of our older people who wanted to do some things and be part of the community and expand. This particular C&W mini market is known as the place of hope. They show people hope about what can be, what could be, and if you see it, you can be it. And that's the encouragement we want for all of our community members. So with that, what they have done is also engage the community every few weeks in a food drive that gives to the community. And I have to tell you, when you are in a place where there are some food deserts or some barriers or issues, this is such a loving, welcoming thing to do for family, such a wonderful thing to do for community. So we are very happy and very proud to give them this honor of this community award. Mr. and Mrs. Wendy and Clarence Weaver, thank you so much. Keep loving our community. Oh, they want us in front of the banner. I'm getting instructions everywhere.
It's kind of like if you put the comma in the right place,
Right.
you yield good results. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys so much for what you did.
Thank you, Clarence and Wendy, for all that you do in this community. And the next speaker is Laura Fine, here to present the Ted Loda Volunteer Award.
So today I am honored and I'm excited to present the Ted Loda Volunteer Award to our very own Rachel Ruttenberg. There's a saying, and that saying goes, if you want to get something done, ask a busy person. Well, that goes along with that saying, describe busy person, but yes, and a woman. And I'm going to give a shameless plug for women in just a second. That is the perfect description of Rachel. She's a mom of two, a spouse, a full-time lawyer, and a dedicated volunteer for the Democratic Party of Evanston. She's also my I-Will sister. I-Will is the Illinois Women's Institute for Leadership that trains Democratic women who will one day run for office. Can I please have all the I-Will women in this room stand up? We have, there's numbers of us. Isn't that amazing? It's so exciting, and my shameless plug right now, our applications for the new class are now available online if anybody is interested. Now back to Rachel. Here's a little background on Rachel's volunteer experience. She was appointed as DPOE's deputy committee person in July. Before that, she served 2 terms on the board of directors and president for 4 of those 6 years. Under her leadership, DPOE has improved its organizational infrastructure, its fundraising, and navigated multiple election cycles, including the most challenging and unique and creative cycle, which would have been the 2020 election for President Joe Biden that happened during the COVID-19 pandemic. During that time, with the help of her ingenuity and hard work, DPOE hosted hundreds of volunteers from across the country and organized phone banks via Zoom. Do we remember those days? Seems like forever ago. During the day, after she gets her girls up and out in the morning, Rachel is the Deputy Chief of Staff in the Cook County Office of the President, which Tony so eloquently explained all of Rachel's roles and responsibilities. There she advocates for President Preckwinkle's public policy and agenda, and we are so fortunate to have both President Preckwinkle and Rachel in those roles. She has 20 years of experience in nonprofit and government policy and advocacy. Rachel has a law degree from Chicago-Kent, a master's degree from Northwestern, and her bachelor's degrees from the University of Wisconsin. Like I mentioned before, she's also a 2014 graduate of the Illinois Women's Institute for Leadership. She's the mom of 2 amazing children, and in her words, not mine, the wife to a very patient husband. Although she says he knew what he was getting into when he married her. I am so proud to present this well-deserved honor to the incredible Rachel Rottenberg.
Senator Fine just reminded me that we were in M&M costumes together last year, for those who were here. We didn't bring our M&M costumes. Thank you so much for this award. I didn't know Ted Loda, but I've heard many times how committed he was to DPOE and its mission to elect Democrats, and so I'm so honored to receive this award with his name on it. I was somewhat of a latecomer to politics, getting bitten by the bug when I was already in my 30s. So I was getting married and I was having kids, and I started volunteering a lot. However, once I started and I understood the power of organizing and political activism and the stakes for us as our democracy seems to be hanging in the balance, I couldn't stop. So this is the part where I thank my husband, Damon, my parents, Maureen and Rick, and my children, Riley and Kenna, for their patience and support. I also want to thank all who have encouraged me over the last 6.5 years, and that includes Leader Gable, Senator Fine, Eamon, Ginny Darakshian, Betsy Sodi, Michelle Jordan, Jane Newman, and Christian Sorensen. Thanks to Daniel, my new partner in this work. And of course, thanks to Kathy Hayes for being willing to have the President's torch passed to her in July. A special round of applause for Kathy. DPOE is a real community effort, and none of us can build and maintain a strong local party without all of us. As you know, I'm not going anywhere, and I look forward to celebrating future Ted Loda volunteer awardees for years to come. Thank you.
So the next award is our Mikvah Award, which goes to Eamon Kelly. And, I was struck when Rachel referred to herself as a bit of a late starter in politics. It does not describe Eamon Kelly. Eamon has often talked to me about the role he played as a volunteer in the 1998 congressional primary campaign of Jan Schakowsky, who you may have heard something about subsequently. I've heard a lot from people like Mike Frericks about the extremely active role that Eamon played as a member of the Illini Dems, as an undergraduate in Central Illinois Democratic politics. He came back to Evanston with his spouse Lakshmi and to raise a family with now 3 children, and got involved running an extremely impressive race for state representative in 2010, and coming off that and just leaning in even more, taking on this role as committee person and doing it for a long period of time, really as the face and the center, nerve center of this organization. And I just want to say that, and the county board president referred to this, but I want to go into this a little bit further. Being committee person is really 2 different jobs. There's the home part of the job, the being the face and the organizer of Democratic Party activities in Evanston, which is a handful, which he did remarkably well, continually strengthening the organization during the course of his time in that role. But then there's this other whole part of the job that we honestly don't really see here, because the committee person is one of 80 members of the Cook County Democratic Party Central Committee. And as that member, you can kind of do nothing if that's what you want to do and go along with whatever else happens and say, well, I'm only one of 80 votes anyway, so how much influence do I really have? Or you could do it the Eamon Kelly way. And Eamon took his expertise as a practicing lawyer, his extraordinary passion for justice, his clear-eyed assessment that maybe we could do better when it comes to who's on the bench, and that we as a Democratic Party had a moral responsibility to do better when it comes to who's on the bench. And then he said, let's tear up the extremely convenient political compact that says we never ask any tough questions and just push everybody through, irrespective of how they treat the most vulnerable when they come before them in the courtroom. And organized for a real transformation in the party, to engage in keeping with what this community wants and believes in the value system that says judges need to be for justice. Judges need to treat everyone with respect. Judges need to not just do what's going to be easy, but what's right. And that's been transformational. And he didn't just do it as a person who kind of yelled an opinion and then went home again. He organized a coalition in the Cook County Democratic Party, a very difficult thing to do, to make that change and lead that change. And then there were these important battles, elections where people who it was determined just shouldn't be on the bench were eventually replaced by people who should. So this is really, really quiet, unheralded work that he did because he believed in it, that if he hadn't done, wouldn't have happened, and that means that the most vulnerable people in our communities have a fair shot and will be treated with justice and dignity in what is very likely among the most difficult days of their life. That's what you really want in a public servant. That's what leadership is. And so for that reason, on top of everything else, I just hope you'll all join me in congratulating Eamon and thanking him as we give him our Mithra Award.
So as a Democratic committee person, the first thing you always do is recognize other people. That's like the core and first responsibility of a Democratic committee person. I want to start by thanking Daniel. I've been very proud to support Daniel for a long time, but one of the things that has really inspired me about his service as our mayor is his vision and philosophy summed up in an article, Yes, in Our Backyard. That Daniel has led the way that Evanston can and will be a place where we do the right thing in our community. So I want to thank Daniel for that. I also want to thank the Weavers. My son walks to school down Church Street sometimes, down Lake Street other times, but I feel better knowing your stories there and what you're doing for our community. Back to the job of recognizing those people, I think it's important that I recognize the folks that have been most impactful in my own life. I am blessed with a wonderful wife and life partner, Lakshmanan, an immigration super lawyer who is the core of our family. So I want to call out Lakshmi, who supports my work. I want to recognize my children, my son Vikram, whose grit and determination motivates me every day. My daughter Vidya, a Justin Award winner, who I'm very proud of. My curious and creator, Vivek, my youngest son. So thank you all for everything you've done to support me. I want to recognize my parents, my mom, my first cheerleader, and with my brother Liam, one of the best canvassing teams on the North Shore. My father, who has been Peter Kelly, who's a lifelong role model for me on how to be a lawyer, the profession that has come to define my adult life. I want to recognize my cheering section, my brother Peter and Eli, my stepmom Susie, who are here with us as well. I did get started in politics young, and one of the places I got started was at the University of Illinois, where I was first elected student trustee. My good friend Dave Cocaine, who was the student trustee before me, is here with me, as is my slate mate as part of what was the Progressive Student Coalition, with our student body president, Representative Bob Morgan, who's then student body president. If you don't, you may know of Bob's work to successfully pass an assault weapon ban after he witnessed firsthand the tragedy of the Highland Park shooting. But if you don't know Bob, you should. He has and will keep repairing the world, and I hope you help him do that work. I want to recognize my mentors who aren't here at this time, but who I really have always looked up to. Carol Ronan, state senator from the North Side, who showed me how to be, I think it's fair to describe her as a fierce supporter of progressive candidates and allies. And Larry Suffredin, who taught me how to counsel and help others on their journey of service. And I want to recognize the strong progressive women that lead us. It starts here with Jan Schakowsky, borrowing Beyonce's title, we'll call her our Queen Bee. So we also get to follow the lead of Robin Gable, our progressive boss in Springfield. I visited Springfield with my children, and I walked into her office, and fittingly, there were a pair of boxing gloves there that somebody had given her. And I really thought that those boxing gloves were the personification of the work she does fighting for us in Springfield. I've often said that the first job requirement for being a Democratic committee person in Evanston is a willingness to follow the lead of strong progressive women. And in that spirit, I want to recognize Toni Preckwinkle. I didn't know that she would be here, but I think it's really important for people to understand how proud I am to have backed her leadership as chair of the Cook County Democratic Party as we did the work of remaking it into a force for a more diverse, more qualified, and more progressive government in Cook County judiciary. Thank you, Toni, for everything you've done. I also want to recognize the we candidates and elected officials. As Daniel pointed out, I spent a lot of time evaluating candidates, and I ultimately concluded that more than anything else, we wanted to support we leaders. What's a we leaders? Well, let's start with what it is. We all know the me politicians. We've met them, we've seen them. Bill Clinton called Donald Trump out at the DNC as the ultimate personification of a me politician. We're lucky to be in a time of we leaders. I think Joe Biden's historic decision not to seek re-election was the ultimate example of a we leader. I think we saw it on full display at the DNC where the politics of we were really shining through. And, it's Jan's favorite phrase, the title of our event. When we fight, we win. And I'm proud to be a part of a party that has had a healthy supply of we leaders. I want to recognize and thank the voters and volunteers in Evanston, our we. We are blessed to have a long lineage of volunteer leaders memorializing the spirit of Ted Loda. He was the ultimate we leader, an ASME organizer who organized bus trips to Iowa and beyond. He would be, and I am proud to know, that we have had many successors here at the Democratic Party of Evanston to his legacy. Jim Hansen, Jane Newman, DPOE presidents, culminating with Rachel, a terrific we leader, and now with Kathy. Having started with recognitions, I want to end with a reflection. We all have lots of things we could do. Why work in politics? Does what we do really matter? Why politics? I think we do politics because it gives us the power to repair the world. In my adult life, through politics, we have secured Obamacare, the largest expansion of health care since the passage of Medicaid. Here in Illinois, we secured a massive expansion of early childhood education. We saw the end of the death penalty here in Illinois, the legalization of gay marriage. But do we here make a difference? It's good to know that politics matter, but do we matter? Over the last decade, there have been numerous examples of where our votes here in Evanston, shout out to Pogo, who was here before, were decisive. Oh, he's still here. Pogo's still here. Were decisive in county and statewide elections. And history tells us over and over again one vote matters. Mike Frericks, the state treasurer, won his first election for state treasurer by less than one vote per precinct. I recently was at a fundraiser for Congressman Jim Clyburn with Jan, where he talked about another example. He talked about the election of 1876, and he explained how one vote started Jim Crow and ended Reconstruction. If you need motivation about why you should get out there and work, Google Jim Clyburn talking about one vote started Jim Crow. But here's the thing. I think one vote matters, and it's important to know that historically it does. But there's a risk of underselling our impact. Because our real power doesn't come from one vote, but it comes from something bigger. I explained this to my kids recently. Vidya and Vivek went with me and volunteered in Kenosha, Wisconsin 2 weeks ago. With Bob Morgan and his son Ari, we went door to door. And after knocking for 2 hours, Vivek, Vidya, and I got 4 voters to commit to vote for Harris. I get some applause for that. They understandably had a question. Did those 4 votes matter? And I explained. I said, well, I didn't point out that those 4 votes could be the difference. They could. But I said, we're not alone. Uncle Bob and Ari are knocking on doors right over there. And I explained that it's bigger than us even further. I noted that the campaign had announced that there were 45,000 volunteers in Wisconsin working out of 40 offices. Do the math. 4 times 45, 180,000. And wait, there's still 2 months going to the election, 45 days. And this is getting replicated in swing states all over the country. So here's the answer. We really matter because we're not alone. We are the difference because we are doing this work along with lots of other people. And I'm confident and proud that we have made a difference in this last decade. And I'll just end with reminding us, when we fight, we win.
Thank you so much for that, Eamon. Let me take a moment to thank our sponsors who made this event possible. Marjorie Benton, State Central Committee person Leo Smith, State Senator Laura Fine, State Representative Robin Gable, Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky, Mike Cassidy, Peachy and Greco and Laura Tucker, State Representative Jennifer Gong-Gershwitz, Eamon Kelly, and Larry Suffernan. Thank you to all for making this a successful afternoon. And now I would like to bring to the mic to present our Blue Donkey Award, because we name our awards after preposterous animals. Our leader, the progressive boss, is that what he called you? The progressive boss of Springfield, here with boxing gloves only in her mind, Robin Gable.
So good evening. Good evening. The speaker, who chose me as the minority leader, calls me Able Gable. So it's really my pleasure to be here tonight, and thank you all for coming, and congratulations to the other awardees. Congratulations, Eamon, well-deserved. Clarence, thank you so much for coming and for all the work that you do. And who's the other awardee? Oh, Rachel. Rachel, congratulations. So well-deserved, but I know that you're going to do many more great things that we'll be congratulating you for in the future. You have a long career left. But it is really my pleasure tonight to introduce and to give the award tonight to our Lieutenant Governor, Juliana Stratton. Juliana Stratton serves as Illinois' 48th Lieutenant Governor, and in this role, elected with Governor Pritzker in 2018 and re-elected in a landslide in 2022, she has built out a portfolio that proves her commitment to working for women and girls and equity and justice. She leads the Justice, Equity, and Opportunity Initiative, which seeks to fulfill the administration's vision to shift the state's justice system from unsuccessful or punitive approaches and toward just and equitable and more restorative, inclusive, and cutting-edge practices and programs. This is a first-of-its-kind effort in Illinois, and I have to tell you, it's been very successful. She has changed. She also chairs the Illinois Council on Women and Girls, the Governor's Rural Affairs Council, the Military Economic Development Council, and the Illinois River Coordinating Council. She chairs the R3 Board, Restore, Invest, Renew, and she co-chairs the Opioid Prevention and Recovery Steering Committee. I think, what did we say a little while ago? If you want a job done, give it to a woman, right? Working as Majority Leader in Springfield, Juliana is truly my colleague and my friend. We recently together passed some incredible legislation called the Birth Equity Act, which will really help African American women do so much better during pregnancy and afterwards. Juliana was there by my side when I was calling the bill, and there by my side in committee. It was remarkable being able to work with her. When Juliana served for one term in the House, I believe it was only one term, in and out really quick. And at the time, the Women's Caucus was offering mentors to our new women legislators. And I was given the privilege of being Juliana's mentor, which we always laughed. I'm like, I don't know who's mentoring who here, but we know for sure we're having fun and getting things done. So we are so grateful for her leadership. She is the epitome of intelligence and graciousness. And please give a warm, warm, warm welcome to Juliana Stratton.
How are we feeling tonight, Democrats? I'm sorry, we have just 44 days until Election Day. How are we feeling, Evanston Democrats? Okay, just had to check. I am Juliana Stratton, she, her pronouns, and I'm so proud to serve as your Lieutenant Governor alongside the best governor in America, J.B. Pritzker. And thank you to Leader Robin Gable for that warm welcome and introduction. It's such an honor to work alongside of you in Springfield. I do also want to thank you for your partnership on the Birth Equity Initiative. I know many of you know that Black women right here in Illinois are 3 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related complications. And because of your leadership and our work together, we are going to save the lives of Black women, Black mothers, and Black babies. So thank you so much for all that you're doing. And more. Of course, thank you to another good friend and an extraordinary leader, Mayor Daniel Biss. Thank you. It was an honor to serve by your side in Springfield as well, and it's always inspiring to see the good work that you're doing here in Evanston, in addition to all you do to uplift Democrats and build our party as committee person. Thank you for your leadership. You all, I've been talking a lot, headed out to Minnesota for the campaign on Friday, so please excuse my hoarseness. But I just have a few words that I want to say. I want to start by thanking Kathy Hayes. Thank you for your leadership. And to all of the Democratic Party of Evanston's board members and volunteers, thank you for inviting me tonight and honoring me with the Blue Donkey Award. I have not ever had an award called the Blue Donkey Award. So thank you. And it is an honor, truly an honor, to be recognized for supporting the values that we all hold so dear as Democrats. You know, the Democratic Party of Evanston has some of the hardest working and best volunteers in our state. You organize, you show up, you advocate for the issues in which you truly believe, you get results, you make your community a better place to live for all, one door knock at a time, one phone call at a time. I applaud you, and again, I accept this award with deep gratitude and tremendous enthusiasm. Let's also give it up for the other award recipients, Clarence and Wendy Weaver. I've been to your store. You remember? A few years ago, I've been to your store. Rachel Ruttenberg, thank you, Rachel. Eamon Kelly, thank you for all that you do. Congratulations, and thank you all so much for your commitment to your community and our state. Finally, before I say a few words, I've said a few already, but it's always great to be amongst so many powerhouse women, including Congresswoman Jan Schakowsky, Cook County Board President and Chair of the Cook County Democratic Party, Toni Preckwinkle, Senator Laura Fine, another amazing leader and friend in Springfield, Representative Jennifer Gong Gershowitz in her absence, and I've already acknowledged Leader Robin Gable. These women know how to get things done to better the lives of their constituents, and we're all so grateful for them and all of the elected officials joining us tonight. Now, I am honestly so glad to be here this evening because rooms like this, where the energy is crackling and you can almost touch the excitement, rooms full of people who believe in hope and a future worth fighting for, rooms where you are These are the places that fill my cup and keep me strong in this fight to elect Kamala Harris as our next president and Coach Tim Walz as our next vice president, but also Democrats up and down the ballot this November. Now, I know that all of you here already know what we are up against. Everything we value: workers' rights, civil rights, women's rights, LGBTQ plus rights, the fate of our planet, our very democracy. All of it is at stake. And I don't have to tell you in this room, but this November we will face two very different visions for our future. One of hate and one of hope. One that will rip us backwards into darkness, and one that will propel us toward a brighter tomorrow. We are all fighting so hard because we as Democrats, our vision for the future is one where we uplift working families. It's a vision rooted in the belief that we all deserve true freedom and a seat at the table. You know what kind of world we envision, Evanston Democrats? One with a strong middle class that keeps America strong. A world where the fundamental right to vote is protected. One where every American lives free from gun violence. A world where reproductive freedom is restored and everyone has the right to make decisions about their own bodies, because we don't need the government telling us what's best for our bodies. We can decide for ourselves. And you know what? While there are so many reasons, as the mom of 4 daughters, I can say that one of probably my number one motivation in doing everything I can to ensure Kamala Harris and Tim Walz get elected, it's because I want my daughters, 4 daughters, to have a future where we as a country trust women just like we do right here in Illinois. Our work is so crucial, and we need all hands on deck. Like I said, we just have 44 days. And what did Michelle Obama tell us? We must do something. You all heard her, right? We must do something. And I know you've been doing it. But for the next 6 weeks, we have more to do. We have more doors to knock on, more people to talk to, more phone calls to make, more voters to register, and we have an election to win. So tell me, Evanston Democrats, are you ready to help us get over the finish line on November 5th? Yes. Are you ready to get out the vote? Yes. Then let's get out there, because as our next president, Kamala Harris, has said, when we fight, we win. When we fight, we win. Thank you for having me, and thank you for this wonderful honor.
So, listen, there's been a lot of conversation. You all have been very patient. I'm going to be very, very quick. You don't need me to tell you what's at stake. What I just want to remind you is that we all matter in this decision. We all play a role. I find Amen Kelly arithmetic to be the most persuasive part of all. Because I will admit that there were times when I first would ride school buses up to Wisconsin for presidential campaigns and talk to 2 or 4 or 5 voters, and on the way back think, well, it's not that likely that the outcome will be decided by 2 or 4 or 5 votes. And then I would start doing some Amen Kelly math. I would look at how many other people were on that bus. I would look at how many more weekends that were. I would look at some past election returns where Wisconsin is decided by 2,000 or 4,000 votes again and again and again. I invite you to look around this room and think about how likely it is that just us, just we, can talk to that many voters in Wisconsin and Michigan if we do all that we are able to between now and November 5th. So don't just be passionate. Don't just be excited. Don't just be nervous. Don't just lose sleep. Get out and do something. OperationSwingState.com is designed to make it as easy as possible for you to go to Wisconsin or Michigan and knock on those doors and talk to those voters. That is the most important thing you can do. And if that's not something that you're able to do, when you're done recruiting your friends and family to do it in your stead, then you can go back to OperationSwingState.com and sign up to make calls. We will find a way for every person who is passionate about what this election means for the future of the country to get in there and make an impact. And there is absolutely no question in the world that if all of us who care as deeply as the folks in this room care do what we can, we will win. So I'm asking you to get out there, spend every minute you can, and make sure that every person around you who feels like we does the same thing, because that is all that it's going to take. That is all that it's going to take to not only stop the nightmare that we can't even quite envision, but to usher in what a President Harris with the Democratic Congress can accomplish. You guys, the sky is the limit. Let us go get it done. And for our last comments on what we can do, on what's coming next, on the last opportunities to make a difference in this election, I bring our president.
I'm going to make it quick and sassy. Everyone here has told you that you need to do something, that you have to fight, and that we must win. This means everything to everyone in this room. This means everything to everyone that lives in this community. So, if you'd be so kind as to go on to OperationSwingState.com and register to do some of the canvassing, virtual phone banking, and we even have button making. Because I see you all have some of those buttons that we had up front. Well, those are the loving volunteers that have come by our office at 1806 Church Street, down from the ice cream parlor. Come visit us, go get some ice cream, and make sure that you are making a difference. Most importantly, I want you to make voting a family event. Take your children, take your grandchildren. I drag mine out all the time. They'll be okay. Take your aunts, your uncles. Make sure that they activate that one important thing, and that's your ability to vote. Here, we are some of the most voting people in the county. Please, my Democratic family, I ask you to come out and vote for us. But if you want to know more about Operation Swing State, we have our interns and we have our staff member, Anna, Charlotte, and Jalen, that will love to have a conversation with you. Come and visit us. Thank you so much for coming this evening. We got a lot more work to do.